Welcome to Rooted, Stories of Community-Driven Change, a special podcast partnership between Island Girls Rock and the Clara Lionel Foundation. We are sitting down with women leaders across the U.S. South and the Caribbean who are leading organizations rooted in culture, community, and purpose. These are the voices reshaping local power structures, uplifting traditions, and proving that the most powerful innovations emerge from deep community roots. On this episode of Rooted, we are in conversation with Gwen Chambers, the Executive Director of BlacQuity, a nonprofit based in Bluffton, South Carolina, that is doing transformative work at the intersection of economic equity, entrepreneurship, and generational wealth. BlacQuity has built something rare, a community-rooted ecosystem where Black founders are not just supported, they are seen, equipped, and positioned to lead. We are so grateful to have the time to speak to Gwen, and we cannot wait for you to hear the story of BlacQuity. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Rooted. I've been excited about all the conversations, but this one feels a little extra special, if I can say that. So, let me tell you a bit about our guest. Gwen Chambers is the Executive Director of BlacQuity, a nonprofit organization based in Bluffton, South Carolina, dedicated to promoting, elevating, and empowering Black-owned businesses across the Lowcountry. I am so curious about that word. Founded in 2020, BlacQuity delivers entrepreneurial education, coaching, and access to capital, including through Black Equity University. This is a 12-week accelerator program that helps entrepreneurs build stronger businesses and work toward long-term sustainability. That's a favorite word, sustainability. With a background spanning sales, marketing, and nonprofit leadership and deep roots in the region, Gwen is committed to reshaping the local entrepreneurial ecosystem so that more Black founders can start, scale, and thrive. Her work sits at the intersection of economic equity, community development, and generational wealth, connecting entrepreneurs to the resources, relationships, and opportunities that create lasting impact. Mm, that just all sounds so yummy. Welcome, Gwen.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
As I said, this one feels extra special. So before we dive into everything, Gwen, for us people out in the Caribbean and the diaspora, where in the United States is the Low Country? Where is this?
So, the Low Country, as we affectionately call it, is the southern part of South Carolina. So, we're called like the Sea Islands, but so it is Beaufort County, Jasper County, and a little bit of Berkeley and Charleston County. We are a very coastal region. So, yeah, that's where we're located.
Okay, so lots of commonalities between us and the Caribbean, right?
Very much so. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Lots of commonalities.
And I really want us to explore that a bit more in the conversation. But before we get into all of that, Gwen, we want to know who you are. Where are you from? And what does home mean to you?
Mm. So I am from South Carolina, originally from the upper part of South Carolina, the Upper East Side, in the North Myrtle Beach area. But I've lived in South Carolina most of my life. A brief stay away when I moved to Virginia, but came back, and this is home for me. So I'm from, in a sense, the Low Country. It has shaped me professionally, personally, and spiritually. I've raised my kids here, built my home here. This is very much home. And home for me is community, is belonging and responsibility. It's the place where you feel called not just to live, but to contribute. And I feel like that's what I've done ever since I've come back.
Okay, that is wonderful. I was listening to you and your your description of what home means to you when you said community, that really resonated. So, you have a background in sales, marketing, and nonprofit leadership. I want to know what was the moment, or perhaps maybe it was a series of moments, that made you decide that Black entrepreneurs in the Low Country, that what they needed was something that you had to be the person to build, that you had to create.
Yes, so having that background in sales, marketing, and nonprofit, those really showed me how systems work, right? So they showed me how to operate and navigate those circles and those networks, but it also showed me who gets left out of them. So I kept seeing talented Black entrepreneurs with vision and drive, but without
Mm.
the same access to capital, coaching networks, and the visibility. And it became very evident, very clear that the need was more, not for more motivation, because that
Mhm.
was you, I saw the passion, I saw all of that, and I witnessed it, but the need was for equity and intentional support.
Right. And you said something there about the talent and the passion being there. And pre-conversation, we did speak a bit about the innate spirit of those of us that are descendants of formerly enslaved people, right? In the
Yeah.
Caribbean and in the US South. And I do believe that that very entrepreneurial spirit that you speak of people from the Low Country, is something that we also share in common. But like you said, it's now the access to the resources and the
hmm
support. So this leads me to the origin story of BlacQuity, which was actually founded in the middle of one of the most disruptive periods that many of us have lived through in 2020. And you were asked to join as executive director. What was your thinking?
Well, there was so much going on. Like most
Right.
people, you didn't know what, because it was, everything was so new. We were
Hmm.
calling it the new normal,
Right.
if you will, and we everything was being reshaped. And in one aspect, even though there was the pandemic and then the broader racial reckoning that was happening,
Yes.
there was hopes of and aspirations of this can be better. We see what's going on, but we can do better, and these are, we can put some systems in place and we can start working together to do better. And that's exactly what happened. So through those racial reckonings that were made visible, and what many of us already knew, Black owned businesses were carrying so much in our communities, but grossly flying under the radar, not really visible within the community. And without the support systems they needed to thrive. So, with that, we founded BlacQuity to respond to that need and build something intentional and
Hmm.
sustainable and rooted in the possibility.
Okay. And the name itself, BlacQuity, it carries so much weight. It's equity and not just an opportunity. Can
hmm
you speak to why that distinction matters and what it looks like when it's being practiced from day to day?
Yes. Well, opportunity sounds good, but if
Mm-hmm.
people do not have the resources, the support, or the relationships to act on that opportunity, the playing field is still uneven. Equity means addressing those barriers directly. It means being intentional about helping entrepreneurs access what they need so that opportunity can actually lead to outcomes. Opportunity opens the door, and equity is just that. It helps make sure that you can walk through the door. And I think BlacQuity is one of those vessels or mediums to help hold those entrepreneurs' hands and make sure that they have the resources to be successful within the community.
Absolutely. And I like what you said, and I actually envisioned it, when you need someone to hold your hand and lead you through that door. I actually really love that. So tell us about Black Equity University. It's a 12-week accelerator, and it's a serious commitment from the organization and from the entrepreneur. So, what is it that you are asking of people who decide to walk through the program? And what do they leave with that they may not have had before?
Mhm. So we're asking each entrepreneur that comes to the program to bet on themselves, to really pour into themselves and spend time in their businesses
Mm,
and in really bolster themselves. So we have a therapist that comes in. We have affirmations that are tied to the curriculum. We have mindset checks the beginning of each class day. But
mhm,
the accelerator program is designed to help entrepreneurs strengthen both themselves and their businesses, because we understand most of these entrepreneurs are coming from multi-generational homes. They're head of household. They're probably the primary breadwinner, and they are really trying to make a passion or a side hustle into a
mhm,
full-on business.
mhm.
And we ask the entrepreneurs to show up fully, do the work, and stay committed to growth. It's 12 weeks, and it's 12 weeks, one class day each week, which is 2 to 3 hours, and then
Oh,
you have
wow.
homework coupled with that. But what I've seen from most of the entrepreneurs, they leave with growth. They leave with a stronger business foundations. They leave with practical tools. They leave with synergy, a little tribe, if you will, because they're no longer operating in silos. They have
Yes.
friends that and fellow entrepreneurs they can call on and reach out to and vent or share, their wins.
Mhm,
They
mhm,
leave with accountability, clarity, confidence, and a real sense of community.
mm.
We're not just helping entrepreneurs build businesses, we're helping them build capacity and that confidence and community. Confidence being the key. I think that's
Yes.
the biggest thing.
Yes. You mentioned that the program actually includes a therapist for those taking part. Why was that decision made to include a therapist?
Well, early on, we saw how the entrepreneur mindset is one that needs to be strengthened and empowered. And if you are
Mhm.
going, entrepreneurship for anyone is not for the meek. It
It
is
is not.
very you hit
Definitely.
ebbs and flows. You have some days where you're like doubting, should I even do this?
Yes.
You have it's just, it comes with a lot. And then you couple that on top of manage your own household, and while also maybe trying to hold down a 9 to 5 because that's the money that's coming in to support the family while you're trying to get this other leg up. So it is definitely a support mechanism that we offer, and we realize that everyone is not subscribing to therapy, but
Mhm.
it is, and we don't call it therapy in that sense. We tools that you can put in your basket, in your bucket, so that you can draw upon them if you need them, and in
Yes.
you scenarios and letting you know you're not alone in this. If you're feeling this fear and doubt and unsureness, it's okay. This is what and happen. Or if you're feeling the stress of your family and people not believing in you and that not having support, it's just a way to have those tools to help you get through and cope and understand you're not alone. And it was something that I know for me, I saw very early on with a lot of the entrepreneurs needing that entrepreneurial mindset strengthened.
Yes. Yes. So it's almost as if you are equipping them with a Black equity wellness toolkit. So they have these things, like you said, that, if this is happening, if I'm feeling overwhelmed, oh, you know what? I remember I can, lean into some breathing, or maybe I can
Hmm.
just write everything down in a
Right.
journal, and
Mhm.
for me, it seems as if it's a really holistic type of program, accelerator, that you guys have created.
I think so. Some of the feedback in
Mhm.
the entrepreneurs who've attended a lot of other programs, they do a great job of, giving the technical assistance. But
Yes.
once you are past that, it's like, okay, you're off on your own.
Mm,
And I feel like BlacQuity offers a support that we're here with you every step of the way. If you
yeah,
need us, just call us.
yes.
So one of our team members is a licensed therapist.
Mhm.
We have coaches who are, well, I would say once prominent in the community, but have retired and have that, that wealth of knowledge and experience of owning businesses, running, C suites and Fortune 500 companies. So we have a lot of tools that they can draw from. And not to mention, I think having our team as well, and our team willing to go out and if they need any resource, finding that for them and bringing it to them.
Mm,
So I think showing up and building that trust for the entrepreneurs is the biggest thing. Just knowing that they
yes.
can rely on us.
Yes. Wonderful. So, economic equity and generational wealth are at the heart of your mission. What does generational wealth actually mean in the communities you work with, right? And what does it look like to move someone meaningfully closer to that?
So, generational wealth means so many things, but I think at the heart of it is if we can teach one person in the family how
Right.
to build a business, how to sustain it, even if they decide, hey, this isn't for me, I don't think this is a good fit, they at least have the knowledge to
Hmm.
build upon it, the resources to build upon it, to share with another individual within the community. But most importantly, they have the tools to create that legacy of, okay, this is what I need to sustain my business. We want to get deeper into it with creating the succession plans. And okay, once I have the business, how do I create that property or land or investments and savings so that one day I can leave this, I can leave those things to my descendants. And it's not just about leaving them behind money, but it's also about creating a long-term financial stability for those grandchildren, great grandchildren, and future family
Yes.
members to start more support and more opportunity and have fewer barriers. And I know this is probably like a long stretch, but at least we are chipping away at it, if
You
that makes
are.
sense. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. And I don't think it's a long stretch at all. I think that the work, just from everything you've already shared here with us, it's intentional. And when something is intentional, the impact for me almost begins straight away because you're already changing mindsets and showing what can grow
Hmm.
from, So I don't think it's a long stretch. I think your impact is already felt.
And I think even being in the class, so you can see individuals
Mm,
who from day one, the first class, and how unsure they are and how nervous and I don't know if this is right and should
right.
I have all of this going on, just all the doubt and the fear. And
Yeah.
you absolutely have some who like, I'm ready to go, let's do this.
Right.
But you can also see by graduation that you can see the growth and how
Hmm.
proud they are. And one of our most recent classes, I'm so proud of them because I can see them actually taking the time out, carving out the time for their business. If they have homework or coaching sessions with the things they are tasked to do, actually doing those and putting them into fruition. And I think in this most recent cohort, also, I've seen it in all of the cohorts, but this most recent one is fresh. You can see them feed off of one another. So you will see
Mm,
one entrepreneur with a win, and the other one's like, "Well, I did this too." And then there's another entrepreneur with a win. So that type of healthy competitive spirit is
yes.
I love it and I love to see it. It makes me so happy to see those entrepreneurs having those wins. And even if it's quote unquote a small win, meaning
Hmm.
they got their accounting systems and QuickBooks together, or they received a state license for something, it's huge
It
because it's
is.
another step on that journey that has been accomplished.
Exactly. And that maybe wouldn't have been possible without you, without BlaQuity, right? So that's huge. That is huge.
Well, I say all the work to them. We
Yes.
are just here to make sure you have the resources. This is what you need to do in the next step.
Hmm.
But if it wasn't for their sweat equity and them putting the work in,
Hmm.
yeah, and but also having that support system because sometimes they don't have that.
Right.
And
Exactly.
but having the support system, like, hey, you got this. This all right. So this is the next step. I know it looks big, but we are going to chunk it up, and we're going to do it one bite at a time. So like, let's. All right, what do we need to do next?
Yes. And I love it. I know I keep on saying that, but I do because I'm just so, I think for me, being in conversation with you and so many other amazing women, there's this pattern of not recognizing the impact of you holding and creating these containers of support and for empowerment and enrichment. that you maybe you're not able to see, what your work is meaning to those that are receiving it. But even me being in conversation and everything that you've shared with us so far, it's almost as if I can feel the magic that you are creating in the lives of, yes, some of them innate entrepreneurs, because we have that spirit, we
Yes.
have that, but
Right.
also bringing it out, having someone there, as you just said, to support you and cheer for you and say, you got this. That
Yes.
is integral to them
Mm.
thriving. So you are integral. Okay.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I
You
received
are. I'm
it.
happy that you're receiving it. Oh, goodness. So now you're in partnership with the Clara Lionel Foundation, right?
Right.
How did that relationship come together? And what has it meant for BlacQuity in terms of how much you're able to do and who you are able to reach?
Oh my goodness. I would say that this foundation is one when they we were approached by them at a time when everybody, I mean everybody, was taking a step back.
Right.
This was at the beginning, I want to say the beginning or the middle of 2025. And we just, with the new administration, we heard so much about how they were cutting DEI. You can't say this, you can't say that. And so many people, I mean, you think about all the progress we had in 2020 when everyone, the disruption from the pandemic, and everyone was like, well, how can we lean in? How can we make this right? And then fast forward to 2025 when everyone was like, okay, we're going to pause and see where this world takes us. But Clearline Nail Foundation actually leaned in. They were like,
Wow.
I understand what's going on, but we understand the work that still needs to be done. And they were actually one of the few that were leaning in to do the work. And I appreciate them just being, and I hate to keep using this phrase, but they were intentional, but because they came in, they sat, they listened, they didn't
Hmm.
impose what they felt, rather they understood and worked to understood what was needed within this region of the community, this part of the community. And they realized that you can't put a band-aid on it. Even if we have 4 or 5 different organizations in this region, we all operate the same and have different needs. And our mission is to service a certain part of the community. And they understood that, and they were leaning in to figure out intentionally how can we best support you with what we have, and what do we need to add to our system to continue to support you. And again, at a time when, I mean, we were getting no's, federal dollars are being cut, to have someone come to the table in that fashion, um, I just say it was godsend at like everything that happened, um, and how we aligned and how everything came together was nobody but God.
Oh, wow. That is beautiful. And for me, one of the key things that stands out is you said that CLF listened,
Hmm.
right? So I want you to just expound on that a bit because it seems to be a thing that was not typical. So tell me why listening made you know that you were in a safe place with CLF.
Well, one of the things from the first few conversations, they did their research on us.
Hmm.
Um, they listened to other entrepreneurs or community people in the community, and they they came down and they saw us.
Right.
They were in the community. They made the visit, and it wasn't just one time; it was a couple of times. And I think from those conversations and the visits and just speaking with them, it felt very organic, but it felt like, okay, this, like, as you were telling me to do at the beginning of this conversation, okay, I can relax. I don't need to be on guard
Oh,
because it's a safe space, and they understand where we're coming from.
oh goodness. I'm almost feeling emotional listening to you, Gwen, because, you yourself, BlacQuity, you're supporting other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're wanting other people to thrive, you're pouring into community, and then someone comes along and does the same for you.
Right. Right.
Right?
Right.
So how did
And
it
at a time when
feel?
everyone, I mean, it seemed like everyone was like, well, we can't say this, or we can't support you
Mm.
because you're BlacQuity, and that because we have black in our name. um,
Right.
Although I did not feel like it was right. I understood because of what the pressures they were under.
Mhm.
um, but I just applaud the Clara Lionel Foundation, their entire team, Rosanna, Amina, all of them, for just being so supportive and understanding.
Wonderful. And for me, when I think about it, because when our collaboration, came about with CLF,
Mm-hmm.
and, our initial proposal was really centered on Caribbean women because we're Island Girls Rock, right?
Right, right.
Okay, it just made sense. But then when they said, we'd love you to include, some of our partners in the US South, and I kid you not, Gwen, my heart skipped a beat, right?
Yeah.
Because I have always known and seen the parallels between the experience of those of us in the US South and those of us in the Caribbean.
Mm.
And I kid you not, on my wish list for this year was I want to go to the Gullah Islands.
See,
I kid you not.
see, like I'm telling you, so I have a daily prayer,
Right.
and I always, at the center of it, is that making sure that I'm doing what is need to be done, what God has
Hmm.
led for me to do, and that I'm on that right path. He's moving me that way, but also that the work that we do is seen and supported. Like, please don't let us go unnoticed, because it is really, we need the support.
Hmm.
And I mean, it's daily, but I could have cried big tears and wailed so hard when I found out, that they approached us, um, because it was like, okay, you're listening. Thank you, God. Thank you. So, but I feel like it is definitely everything that we have gone through has been divinely ordered. I,
Divinely ordered.
mm-hmm,
Yes. And I want to actually just lean into just for a bit because, you have referenced your spirituality and your relationship with God throughout this whole conversation. So, of course, it's apparent that that is very important to you, that it is a part of what makes you you. And you also mentioned, the first thing that you did when everything came together with CLF was to understand that it was almost a part of your prayers being answered, right?
right.
And so we spoke about the spirituality of the Caribbean and that of the US South because we have this shared experience of our ancestors being enslaved, you know?
Mm-hmm.
How has how do you feel that your relationship with God, your spirituality, has led you to BlacQuity and to the way that you pour into community?
From the day I was called about this position, because I was in a very comfortable position somewhere else,
Right.
and like I knew the job like the back of my hand. I could go to sleep every night knowing things were done. Like, it was good, and my kids were good. Like, it was good, and I had this. I cried hard and I prayed hard, and there was this sense of peace that came over me.
Hmm.
And then I knew, like, it was time to move. Like, this was the move for me.
Okay. And you
And so
trusted that.
I trusted that. And from every step, because one of the things from the start of this is, and I think I share this in the board meetings a lot, is that I want to make sure that we are meticulous in how we are seen, heard, and understood within the community, and visible, because it is one thing to have an organization in this community, is another thing to be a black led organization that supports
Yes.
black owned business or black people in the community.
Mm.
So there's a lot that comes with it. Trust is one of those things. And with every step, I want to make sure that we are holding it with and I'm going to say it again, another coined phrase, but with Black excellence, that we're operating in that
Yes.
space and we have integrity, and people can look to us and say that that's a trusted organization within the community.
Yes. Okay. So something that you said there with regards to being, a very intentionally Black led nonprofit and showing up for Black entrepreneurs, right? What do you wish more people understood about what it actually takes to build and run a Black led nonprofit?
Whew.
Doing, oh, yes, okay, here we go. Doing this kind of structural work, okay? What is the part of this work for our people that rarely gets talked about?
Um, so there's only a few of us in this area
Mhm.
that are Black led organizations. So there's not like we need like a cohort or a little
Well, here we go.
get together
Idea
then.
time. Yes.
But what it looks like is a lot of us that are leading these organizations in this community. We are working hard to build those stronger systems and support, and we're also working hard to align and have those deeper partnerships and shifting the conversation from survival to scale and sustainability for a longer term impact. So that means that we are oftentimes, and I say this a lot when in the entrepreneur space, the entrepreneurs operate in silos. And for whatever
Yes.
reason, it could be something that historically has happened that we feel like we can't rely on the next man. But at the heart of us, how we all uh, ancestrally, we're about community.
Yes.
We are about being together and being communal. So we have to rely on one another, and we have to find a way to come together and really seal those bonds. So I think what's going to make us successful, and maybe I'm off on a tangent, I'm not answering the question, but
That's
I feel
okay.
like we need that deeper sense of community, of
Mhm.
partnership, of alignment, of a
Mhm.
collaboration. And I feel like we are going to be so much stronger when we can figure out
Mhm.
that Tetris game, or that puzzle of how we
Yes.
align and how we can best support one another.
Yes. But you know what? Maybe this conversation can spark something. Maybe BlaQuity, and here am I giving you more work.
Oh, you sound like my board members now. Goodness.
Maybe, maybe you can, but you said it. Maybe, there is a need to have a collective for Black-led nonprofits in the US South, right? In
Right.
the Low Country. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe this is conversation is something that sparks that because like you said, and you've said it a few times, many entrepreneurs as well as leaders of nonprofits operate in silo,
Mm-hmm.
not realizing that, there are people out here having these same experiences, facing these same challenges, and maybe the way for more ease and for more of us to thrive is to form these collectives so that we can also lean into one another. So, as much as you are encouraging your entrepreneurs to do just that, maybe the nonprofits need to do just that. I'm just,
Absolutely.
it's an idea.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. That would be that would be beautiful.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll catch up and I'll
Okay.
check in. I'm the accountability buddy.
Okay.
Oh gosh, Gwen. And actually, this is a wonderful segue. Speaking of community, this series itself is about community driven change. When you think about what it means for change to really be rooted, what does that look like to you? And what gives you the most hope right now?
I think it starts with us. I think it starts with dismantling and disrupting all of the misnomers that came before us, all of the myths and all of that before, and really building back with and So pulling back those layers, but building it back with mechanisms that we can start trusting one another and
Yes.
supporting one another,
Yeah.
so that we can then be able to and the other part of that is thinking about how we are doing it generationally also, so that we're creating those legacies that can understand it. So um, having those programs that we have a succession plan, or we have we are mentees of the next generation, or looking
Mhm.
for those mentors, and start establishing those pillars within the community, so that we can start building those systems. I mean, I feel like we have to dismantle everything that we thought worked or isn't working, and then
Yeah.
build it back with the systems that we need to work, that we'll know, and just strengthen them, and make sure that we are really supporting them and engaging in them.
Yes.
And I know that probably sounds I know that probably sounds like a lot, or so much, but I feel like, I mean, if I didn't have mentors or people that I could go to talk to about, things that I was unsure about, or stuff I needed support with, or even, this is great, or someone just cheered me on,
Mm.
I think I would be in a different headspace and would not have. We've been in existence since 2020. I came on 2021. And
Mhm.
it's now 2026. But if it wasn't for my mentors and a great support system, I don't think we would have made it this far. And I'm a very strong person. I'm like, well, I can show you better than I can tell you, but
Yes. And I understand that. I might be the same way.
but but there have been some things and some roadblocks and some challenges that have came about, and if it wasn't for people being in my corner and me being able to leverage those relationships and understand those opportunities, and reach out to those mentors, I don't think we would be, or I would be, where I am today. Does that
Understood.
answer your question?
It
I
very
don't know
much
if
does.
I,
No, Gwen, it does.
okay.
I'm taking it in. I'm here like making notes, making notes.
But also goes back to us ancestrally. Like, I feel
Yes.
like we had that sense of community, and we had the elders. There was like a pipeline, if you will. Like, we
Mhm.
had the elders who were teaching the youth, and we need to get back to that, especially in communities that support especially with organizations and pillars in the Black community that support the Black community.
100%. You have more than answered the question. You have given us a lesson. Okay? A lesson in community support, in building and leaning into the innate confidence and entrepreneurial spirit which we inherited from our ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
This conversation, although it's not specifically for me, I have felt like I might have just gone through the Black Equity Accelerator program. And so I very much appreciate the time and the lessons and your honesty and sharing. And for all of, for everyone listening, I'm hoping that the lessons shared in this conversation on community and collective care and ecosystem building and being
Mm,
open to receive support, because sometimes it's almost as if we are our own blocks because
yes.
we're so not used to, when you highlighted how one of the things that stood out about CLF was their approach in terms of listening and actually coming to see the work not just once but a few times,
Mm-hmm.
and seeing how what you were doing was changing lives essentially, and for them to be so intentional about how they showed up to support you is also a lesson for us in how to be open to receive the support when it feels right.
Right. It
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, at the heart of this work, BlacQuity really exists because Black entrepreneurs deserve more than applause for their resilience.
Hmm.
They deserve investment, they deserve infrastructure, they deserve the belief. So our work is helping with that vision. And I thank the Claire Lionel Foundation so much for being one of the supporters to really stand there with us, alongside with us.
And thank you, Gwen, for spending this time with us. It has honestly been such an edifying and wonderful conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Rooted, Stories of Community-Driven Change, a limited edition podcast series from Island Girls Rock and the Clara Lionel Foundation. You can find us wherever you get your podcast fix.